Welcome back to BYS with BYS and Tino. Now, our next guest is an Auckland, New Zealand-based artist. When first landing on the scene, was described as a dynamic breath of fresh air in the New Zealand hip-hop scene. That momentum has since catapulted her into the Australian rap space and other territories of the globe, where she continues to grow. Joining us for the first time right here on BYS on CADA, Jess B.
Come on, intro. Why?
I had to give it to you, Jess B.
I love that.
We're out here, man. How are you?
I've been chilling. I've been in Sydney for a few days now. I'm just here filming a music video, doing this and that. I'd be hanging around, you know me.
I know.
I just be popping up in Sydney, like
you're outside. You're outside in Sydney, right?
I never announce that I'm here. You just see me.
But I think I want to get into part of that as well. But you just completed a 4-date tour, Australasian tour, with collaborator Goldfang. Tell us how was tour? And what was the memorable moments? It
was cool. Like I actually haven't toured post COVID.
Yeah.
So it's kind of actually, when I actually thought about it, I was like, damn, it's been a minute. But it was also really cool doing the shows with Goldfang, just because it's something different. Like a co-headline tour is fun. Like it takes the pressure off me a little bit, you know, and we kind of got to enjoy it. And I'm also a really big fan of his music.
Did you guys swap it up each night?
Yeah. We just kind of split it. So I headlined in New Zealand and he headlined here, which works, right? Because it's like I'm introducing him to the audiences that know me and over back home and vice versa. So yeah, it was cool and it works well that way. I just think it was really fun. So shows in New Zealand were great, and then came over here a couple weeks later and then killed that too.
Speaking of, even with Goldfang, who is, like, as you mentioned, your co-headliner, and shortly right after, you released your recent single "Ring Ring."
Ring ring when I hit your line, pick it up. One man, 4 gal in the under.
Yeah,
big vibe, and
bless. Thank you.
I'm sure you would have been doing during the tour as well.
Yeah.
But how did that relationship build? How did that come into play?
Well, I first met him at Bodega Studios like 2021. Just was in the studio with the boys and he just popped in.
Yep.
And I was like, who is this guy? Like I hadn't ever met like a Caribbean artist, and he's telling me he lives in Sydney, and then he was like on the mic and I was like, what? Like I was so kind of like, I don't know. It was just like exciting to me because I hadn't met anybody like who makes that type of music on this side,
For sure.
Shout out to my girl Ruby Doo, who back home, like she makes the same type of stuff, Jamaican girl, but like just in terms of the community, it's cool. Every time I see someone new, or hear about someone new, I'm like, get excited, So that was kind of like how it started. I was a fan pretty much off the jump. And then I went over last year to work on my album in Amsterdam.
Yeah. Made
the track then. And was kind of like looking for a feature that I thought would work, and so I actually ended up doing 2 different verses, and then I just figured that, the song with Goldfang, it's relevant, trying to get back into things on this side of the world and obviously spend more time over here. So it just worked well, and he obviously vibed with the song. So
now, just at the intro as well, like we mentioned that you're being based in New Zealand. From like the outside looking in at New Zealand, like historically, we've always seen it as a nation that's embraced hip hop, R&B and reggae more so as a primary genre, where here in Oz it might have taken a little bit more time to to come to the forefront. In your opinion, what's the state of the New Zealand rap scene now, the culture today, and is it still do you find there's still a bit of growing support for homegrown artists there?
Yeah, I mean, it's good. Like it's like a healthy scene in terms of like the talent. I think that we're still yet in the hip hop realm specifically. Obviously, we're still yet to have that like big international look. The 1-4 boys and all of that stuff that was going on here a few years back really like took the scene here to like a next level, and I think that we're like on the brink of like having something like that, but I don't think it's happened at least in recent years in the same way.
That was the next thing I was going to ask you, because before I knew any Australian rappers, I actually knew NZ rappers. Like I'm talking about like your Scribes, Savage, Decepticons, David Dallas, P-Money, etc., right?
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe that was because the sound they were making, in my opinion, was somewhat more of appealing to an international market. Where then today, you see now the Australian rap scene is now starting to flourish, and we've got so many different contributors, different stories. Have you found that the Australian rap scene has started to make somewhat of a presence in New Zealand as well, and that influence there?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's cool, like the ability to. I think it's really important that Australia and New Zealand kind of like cross over in those ways, because ultimately, like on the world scale, we're small scenes, like, and we're all trying to break out, you know, internationally. But I think that in order for that to happen, we have to have that local support, and that's what I saw when I saw the drill scene start up in Australia. I'm like, damn, like people who enjoy music are really backing these artists, and that's why they're big, right? Like it's not anything to do with the like corporate side or what labels are doing or not doing or anything like that, and it was about the like grassroots support. I want to see like that continue to grow.
New Zealand should consider Australia like almost another group of states of New Zealand, and
Now
vice
we have to
versa.
come together.
Like, you know, we're like this.
Too far.
It's like this brother-sister relationship, which we should actually really start to lean on more. You know, and here's the thing though, as well. Like, I feel like you're a great representation of that, because I still consider you here. Like, you're part of this scene. You're here in the Australian scene. You're out, like we were saying before, you're outside. I've done music with you here. Like, that's already kind of happening. I feel like what you're saying, we are a smaller, you know, we are smaller territories, and it is what we all have global ambition. So we should, I think, working together and building that. Now, Jess, actually, I wanted to talk to you a bit about your music evolution, because we're starting to see now this growth with your music. So you started to move into a melodic pocket.
Ain't no way to be sure. I done my dirt before I knew.
A sung pocket as well, which also feels quite effortless for you. And
Oh my god, that is so effortful.
I know, but it feels like the way you put it, you know, the way you delivered it, in a particular moment, like, you know, it shows another side, and it seems to be in your bag there.
Oh,
so
thank you.
talk to us a little bit about that evolution, what's inspired that, and how that came about.
It's been a long journey, I think, for me. I've very much like been, quote unquote, finding my sound as I've been releasing. Like, I wasn't someone who kind of like started putting music out with a fully formed idea of like what I wanted to be or look like or sound like or anything.
Sure.
And so like when I first went over to Amsterdam, just by chance, I started working with the producers that I did project.
Was this earlier on? Like
this was what is 2019,
Yeah,
pre-COVID.
Yeah.
It was like my first time making music overseas. Actually, I saw you.
Yeah,
That was when I saw you in London.
In London,
Yeah. So I...
International people.
International.
International people. Okay.
Yeah, but she dipped. She just was like, all right, cool, I'm going to this.
Oh, yeah,
I think I went somewhere else.
Oh, okay, yeah.
that was vibes. That was vibes when we
Big
were in the studio.
Big vibes.
But yeah, so I kind of like just by chance got paired up with these guys who ended up being a dope working relationship for me, and kind of like they were making a sound that I had really struggled to find production wise in back home.
Yeah.
And so I made a whole project with them, 3 nights in Amsterdam, and then I, you know, wanted to keep building on that, I guess. So that was like the first part, was like finding these producers who kind of like sat in this pocket that really excited me.
Yeah.
And then when COVID happened, like I was literally in the studio by myself for that whole however long we were all in lockdown. And so
And you guys had it pretty hard in Z
yeah,
as well.
like it was a long period of time, and I just had to learn how to engineer myself. So then I'm sitting there and now I'm engineering myself, and I'm like, like I kind of want to start singing, but I was never gonna like attempt to start singing in front of like hella people, like, you know, in the studio with like 10 people. I'm like, I want to start trying singing, you know, like. So I kind of just like was able to like lock in and like do the worst of it. You know what I mean? Like I just found it so hard initially just to like writing melodies is like a language. So I can write like lines, bars for days, but like if you tell me like make up a catchy tune is so hard. So like I had to kind of like teach myself from the ground up just how to do that, and then have the confidence to write and record and show someone and all of that. So kind of, I guess now, a couple years down the line, I feel like I'm at a place where it feels a little bit more natural, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Something different for me. So yeah, it's kind of where it's at. It's like what I enjoy making.
Like you're working it, and you'll keep growing it, and you'll always continue to find that comfort.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
What's it leading to? Like, are we working towards an EP, album?
Working towards an album. Yeah,
Yes,
I can say. Yeah, it's again, it's just like one of those things that just takes a really long time to get everything ready. Like making an album is probably the hardest thing I've ever done. Just purely based on like how many parts of it and how many people you have to rely on and wait on for different things, and like so at this point in time, it's an album.
Got you.
When? nobody knows.
Yo.
That's between me and God at this point.
I know your
but it's
manager is
coming.
over there. He laughing too. He just like, yo,
I don't know.
I'm testing emails right now.
As we speak. As we speak. Yeah.
Oh
For
man,
real.
I feel
Be
you.
like that.
No man.
But yeah, no, sooner rather than later. It's
Yeah.
done. Like
Yeah.
the thing's done. It's like it's
Got you.
all the music is there and
Yeah.
it's been there for time. It's just everything else that has to fall into
I
place.
hear
So
you.
it's partly why I'm here back in Sydney, you know, just getting
Mm-hmm.
chipping away at all the different stuff. So
I hear you.
I could write an
No.
album about writing this album.
Yeah.
Like I literally have enough experience in
Hey.
just writing this album that I think I'm ready to
That's
go.
the deluxe
The
version,
new one,
man.
yeah.
That's what I'm
deluxe.
saying.
That's
Let's
the
do it with the
deluxe.
deluxe guy. What else do you want to do? Like, is there more to this growth or to this journey?
Yeah, definitely. Like I like having my hand in many pots. I think that I have been pretty focused on at least the music part of it for the last little while because it's kind of required like all my
Yeah.
focus and my attention. But I love traveling and I love, obviously, you know, me and Shaq run a party together that has kind of like showed me a different side of music, right? Like being involved with parties and clubs and DJs.
Yeah.
It's a whole other world that obviously I'm not a DJ myself, but it's something that I enjoy and it excites me. So I definitely want to continue to expand in and around the music realm.
Got you.
But first things first is let me get this
100%.
music out.
And you keep it rolling, man, because you're doing your
For
thing.
sure.
So I just want to thank you for coming through. You know, I appreciate
bless,
you. I
of
know you've been
course.
busy, and we look forward to everything you do. And you're always like, you're a friend of the show, me and Tino. So always keep us in the loop and in tune, man.
I appreciate
so
that.
big up,
Thank
man.
you for
That's
having
Jess
me.
B. Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
man. Bless up. This is By Your Side. We'll be back.